Captain skills. I'm running a crit build right now. Everything's crit. If you're wondering why I'm not running anti-proton weapons, it's because there's only one universal console that increases anti-proton damage right now, and it's just, you can't get it as high as phaser, so that's the end all be all of that. If you're running anti-proton, even with the universal console, even when you crit, you're still going to be doing less damage than the current phaser build I have, because the phasers are always getting those bonuses, as opposed to anti-proton's only getting the bonus when you crit. So obviously I'm running all the way down. I don't need extra heals, but I am running the extra crit, which is insanely nice. Then I'm running just a little bit on engines, so that I can get my EPS flow, because getting your power back quickly is important. And then I'm running, you can run 1 or 2 points into offensive subsystem tuning. Obviously you want weapon subsystems, but I also may like to have the readiness up, because always having emergency power to weapons active is really helpful. The only reason I have points in these shields is because I just needed the points to get my crit up, and then of course tactical readiness, and then whatever you're going to be doing for your weapons. Like I'm doing phasers, so I need, and the crit build, so I'm doing amplification, specialization obviously, targeting of course again because accuracy is important, and then energy weapon. If you're going to be running torpedoes, obviously you want to run projectile weapon. Specializations, these don't really matter that much, but the flanking really helps. Obviously, that's missing. What is it? It's the next one. Space flanking, really nice, all damage when hitting rear arc. And then you have increased crit severity and increased crit chance when hitting the rear arc, so it's all really nice. I forgot to allocate my other point. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but I eventually am going to get opportunistic and then intelligence fleet 1 and 2. But I just haven't decided where I'm going to put it yet. I think I'm going to put in a ground trait, because I don't use projectiles. So that's just me. Crew stations. You always want to have a tactical team. I have 2, so that it is constantly running. That just increases your where is it? Energy weapon training, which is helpful. Also, it helps your shields stay pretty balanced. And not that anybody uses boarding parties, but it gets rid of them, so that's always up. Attack pattern delta, you want the lowest, because that's a debuff to your target. You want attack pattern beta on or higher, because that's a buff to you that debuffs your enemies. So that's more important to have on. You're going to set those to active whenever possible. Fire at will, obviously less important than overload, but still important. So I have that in 2. The reason I have that in 2 instead of 1 is because it is extremely helpful during situations where there's nothing really big around and you want to just melt down a bunch of little stuff really quick. Also, if you're fighting Tholians and they throw the Tholian web, you can just pop that and then the web will just go away pretty much instantly. Overload, of course, to the highest rank, because that's your big crit. I've hit beam overloads as high as 76,000. It hits pretty nice. I was running PvP, so I had attack pattern Omega on. Normally you want focused assault 3 on for PvE, because it's just an absolutely ridiculous buff. I mean, we got 20% bonus damage, 20% accuracy, and then it's just ridiculous. Not only that, but if you're coordinating with a fleet, In voice chat, you can be like, shoot the thing that's got the giant glowy target on it, and then everybody will pretty much do it. So it's pretty nice for that. Getting into engineering, emergency power to shields. You always want your shields up, obviously, not a huge thing. Emergency power to weapons. I would love to have my emergency power weapons as my 3rd rank slot, but unfortunately I can't find one on the marketplace or anywhere. So I'm stuck with it in slot 2 right now. And then of course directed energy modulation, because shield penetration is nice. As for science skills, I always like to have a hazard emitters and a science team up at whenever I go below 75% on anything, so that as soon as I start to get low, it starts healing, and I don't gotta worry about mashing buttons. I like to use Resonance Beam because it's a debuff to enemy resistance, and doing more damage is always nice. The reason I don't use Tetrion Beam is because Tetrion Beam, or Tachyon Beam, I'm sorry. Tachyon Beam is based on exotic particle damage, and I don't, if you're putting stuff in to buff that, you might as well be playing a Science Vessel. Alright, final thing. Actually, yes, alright. So, there's nothing up right now, so I'm just going to show you a quick example of how you should be playing. As you can see here, I have most of my stuff on auto. Everything here is on auto. And you want most everything on auto, so you don't have to activate it and waste the time. It just really helps your efficiency in combat, and gives you more DPS overall if you don't have to keep clicking buttons. But you can see here I pretty much just throw on everything. Hit my burst, and my intel shift is here to debuff automatically, and the little ship falls. Not difficult whatsoever. Grab my stuff. Now if you want a rundown over what I just did there, I did my probability manipulation, of course, which is my big science skill. That's why I got all those points in science. Just throws my crit rate through the roof. Got my emergency power to weapons, made sure that was up. Activated my beam overload. Then I hit him with my heavy phaser lance, which automatically activated my exposed vulnerability defense, which reduced which obviously reduces our defense, makes me do more damage. I didn't get around to using my energy weapon entanglement because he just pretty much fell over too quick. But you're not going to be using everything all of the time because you just got so many abilities that it's not going to matter. The 2 sets that I'm using are from some of the level 60 missions, so if you're not level 60 yet, you'll get those. They're easy to farm. They take a little while because the missions can take a while, but after you do it the first time and you can skip them, it gets pretty easy. Oh, I forgot I gotta tow this thing. There we go. Oh, come on, really? It's gonna make me go backwards. Stupid thing. Alright. So there should be a battle at this one now, because they're at 2 out of the 3, if I remember correctly. There we go. Activate my mining beam. Now if you want a mining beam, they're actually super cheap. they do kinetic damage, so it's not going to get a buff from your stuff, but it does reduce all resistances over time. For each second that beam is on there, I'll show you. 0 to -60, all damage resistance rating. Debuff increases over time at a maximum of, I think it's 20 seconds. So you got -3 damage resistance rating per second for 20 seconds. And then it's got a crazy short cooldown. So it's pretty great. I think it's worth a slot in your ship. Another nice thing about the debuffs is they work for your allies too. So if you're like shooting at a Borg Diamond or Dreadnought or something big that your fleet's blowing up, everybody will do more damage. It's pretty nice. Use that big target thing I was talking about, target circle from Focused Assault. It's very obvious, everybody in the fleet can see it. Get all the damage, resistance is up, all out with the beam overload, and I didn't get to shoot it. Oh well. If you can get all those debuffs on there and then hit it with a phaser lance, I've hit over 100,000 damage. It's pretty nasty. I'll use some more. Maybe I'll use something here. Try to make sure your broadsides to your enemies when using a 250-degree arc build like I am. I accidentally hit it twice there. 79,000. Would have done a lot more if I had my other stuff up, but that's just a regular average hit there for that phaser lance. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, you got all 250-degree targeting arcs. Just make sure you're broadsiding your enemy. If you're doing a build that's using 45 and 90-degree 4 weapons and turrets and omnis in the back, keep your 4. Keep your 4 forward. That's pretty much all there is to easy DPS. It's stacking modifiers, stacking bonuses, stacking damage resistance debuffs, and you should be throwing out the crazy DPS.